Technology Plan Presentation, Team Tarbush, by Ann Ferguson, Kathleen Graham, and Kari Smith. The Jesse Trevino Public Library was established in 2008 in the Southtown district of downtown San Antonio. And 25,023 square feet, our library is a 3-story structure that offers a collection of over 130,000 books and printed material, as well as 50,000 e-material. Our founders wanted a library that was in keeping with the neighborhood's vibrant spirit, so have established a wall of art that patrons are treated to as soon as they walk in. This wall features artwork from local artists and amateurs on rotation to showcase the artistic essence of the community. Southtown is considered San Antonio's art district and is one of San Antonio's historic neighborhoods with decades of history and culture. This community is a beautiful blend of both old and new, preserving the heritage of the past while embracing all the possibilities of the future. As a hub for artistic expression and entrepreneurship, this community boasts a robust economy with independent businesses operated and created by local artists and craftspeople. Southtown is also home to First Friday and Second Saturday, two of San Antonio's longest running art walks. Both events were created by local artists and are community-wide events. In 2019, the library saw its first major renovation to update some of its structure and add 1,500 square feet for the addition of several new computers and a makerspace. Many of our patrons come to our library for resources and technical services to help get their small businesses off the ground. With this additional space, we welcome patrons of all skill levels to come and create. Artists new and experienced can come experiment and explore their craft without affecting their budgets. We will also be holding workshops to cover the basics of each machine, as well as give tips and tricks to optimize their time in the space and with their learning. As part of our goals to help emerging entrepreneurs, we will be partnering with Launch SA, a small business research center located at San Antonio's Central Library.
The Jesse Trevino Public Library values align with the core values of librarianship as defined by the ALA. One of those values is access. So as a library, we want to make sure we're providing access to diverse opportunities and resources for our patrons, as well as making sure those opportunities and resources are equitably accessible for all library patrons. Our proposed solution aligns with our value of access because few people can afford their own creative materials and machines, such as 3D printers and electronic cutting machines. Another one of our library's values is education and lifelong learning. Our solution helps encourage that learning society by facilitating a creative space for people to learn new skills and to create. Looking at the professional literature, we know that entrepreneurship was fundamental in the development of our country and continues to be vital to the health of our economy. We have, however, seen a decline in entrepreneurship in recent years, especially among the millennial generation. Libraries are encouraged to support entrepreneurship as a way to become a partner in their community's economic development. One way libraries can support their local entrepreneurs is through the creation of makerspaces. The professional literature clearly shows that makerspaces have a number of positive effects on libraries and their patrons, including supporting learning, attracting new and diverse users, and helping provide equitable access to otherwise inaccessible tools. Research also shows that people are significantly motivated to learn when provided access to innovative resources like 3D printers. It's important to keep in mind, however, that community demonstrations and workshops are key to learning, which is why it was important for us to include educational training sessions in our proposed solution as well. So the persona we created is Luisa, who is a single 30-year-old Hispanic woman living in San Antonio. She is an entrepreneur and a freelance crafter. She sells her wares online on Etsy and in person at craft fairs. She has a large extended family that she is close with. and she stays on top of technology trends using an iPhone 14 and an iPad Pro for her personal and professional life. She's an avid user of social media, creating content for her small business on Instagram and TikTok. She drives a 2012 Toyota Prius. Louisa experiences anxiety and considers herself to be a lifelong learner. She values efficiency as well as curiosity, learning, and continued growth. So, looking at the SWOT analysis for our creative makerspace, the strengths of our solution include that we already have that designated space available and ready to use. We also have several computers that we can use for the makerspace as well. And importantly, we have an engaged staff member who is already extremely knowledgeable on using 3D printers and cutting machines. The weaknesses of our solution are that we don't have enough staff members trained on using those technologies, and that we don't have the budget for a project like this, hence us applying for a grant. The opportunities for our makerspace are that there's already an engaged entrepreneurial community in San Antonio, and the opportunity to appeal to new and diverse library audiences. Finally, the threats that face our makerspace solution include the theft of materials or work produced in the makerspace, inappropriate use of intellectual property, as well as inappropriate printed objects, such as 3D printed weapons.
As part of our renovations from 2019, our library updated their computers and laptops, as well as added several more to help facilitate later projects for the library. For use in our makerspace, we have HP ProBook laptops that run on Windows 11 Pro. With 16 gigabytes of memory and 256 gigabytes of storage, as well as UHD graphics card and a full HD display, these laptops are powerful enough to support all forms of digital media and editing. We have set aside 3 of these laptops for exclusive use in our makerspace. Along with these laptops, we will also have 2 desktop computers. Our desktop computers operate on Windows 11 Pro and have a full HD monitor. With an Intel Core i5 processor, 8 gigabytes of memory, and 256 gigabytes of storage, these desktops are built to handle large media files and editing. All our laptops and desktops come with Cricut Design Space and Tinkercad downloaded and ready for use.
So this is where our makerspace would live. It's an open room with tables and chairs that can be rearranged as needed, depending on the project being done. We use some equipment that we had already available in our library, such as the laptops, desktop, described before. The equipment is stored on the counter neatly with manuals and materials stored beside them. It is a creative space that is welcome to all patrons. Library staff is there to help with any questions or to walk patrons through using the equipment.
Our makerspace is a service provided by the Jesse Trevino Library to stimulate and facilitate its community members' entrepreneurship and creativity. We aim to address the needs of starting creators that need a space and resources to get their small crafting or art business off the ground. The services provided with the makerspace are access to our 3D printers, our Cricut Maker machine, an industrial laminator, along with materials associated with their corresponding machine. While the makerspace is open to all, our target audience is more focused on craftspeople and creators. Our target audience is between the ages of 24 and 35, single, self-employed, or doing gig work, and aware of current trends. As a way to promote our makerspace, we will be using social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. On these sites, our staff will post about upcoming workshops or post simple craft videos using our equipment to showcase what it can do for our patrons and target audience. We will also encourage our patrons who post their own videos about the work they do in our space to tag the Trevino Library in their posts.
This is a breakdown of the Jesse Trevino Library's makerspace budget for the grant. We have allocated for 2 Prusa MK4 3D printers for $1,099 each, with a total of $2,198. With the 3D printers, we opted for a supply of 8 rolls of filament in various colors for $29.99 each, for a total of $239.92. We chose 2 industrial laminators for $319 each, and a total of $638. With the laminators, we opted for a supply of 6 set of laminator pouches patrons can use for $32 each for a total of $192. Lastly, for supplies, we have 2 Cricut Maker 3s that come with a bundle of supplies that patrons can use for $499.99 each for a total of $999.98. They can also bring their own materials as well to use with the equipment, but we do have materials available. Now for our opening reception, we allocated $500 for snacks and decorations. We estimated there would be around 100 people attending. For marketing, we would spend around $200 for extra supplies, as we would be using printers we already had at the library and social media. For the training, especially for the 3D printer, it would be $499 for each person for an online training. We opted to pay for 4 staff members' trainings. Lastly, as the 3D printer, Cricut, and laminator come assembled, it would not require outside help. A staff member could set up these items and it would not cost anything. So in total, our budget accounts for $4,987.86 out of $5,000. This is the Trevino Library's Makerspace Gantt chart. Our project would start on May 1st, and the estimate is that it would take around 5 months to complete, based on changing factors like delivery time. The Trevino Library estimate it would take about 2 weeks for research and purchasing equipment, which would partially come before we get the grant money. It would take around 2 months for the equipment to arrive. The 3D printer would take the longest, but other equipment could come in earlier. This would in turn move up the installation, possibly. The installation would take around 20 days in case it became more complicated. Staff training should take about a week for the 3D printer and a week for the Cricut and laminator. It should take about 2 weeks to test the equipment with the test groups, as well as set up the groups and plan it all. Then a 2-week window to make any changes, prepare for the grand opening, and be open to the public. There is wiggle room in case things take longer than expected that would still meet our SMART goals. So these are our SMART goals for our Makerspace grant. So for specific, we put that the Jesse Trevino Library's Makerspace will provide access to materials and resources to encourage creativity and entrepreneurship in patrons. For measurable, the Makerspace will be used by at least 150 patrons by the first year of operation. For attainable, the Makerspace is open to patrons of all skill level and will provide workshops to help patrons develop their skills and an understanding of the equipment. For relevant, the Makerspace aligns with the Jesse Trevino Library's values of access, education, and lifelong learning. And lastly, time-bound, the Makerspace will be operational and open to patrons within 6 months of receiving the grant money. And lastly, how we will assess our SMART goals. We plan on assessing our SMART goals through attendance at monthly workshops that would demonstrate specific skills with the equipment or teach newcomers how to start using the equipment. By tracking attendance at these workshops, we can determine how many patrons are interested in the equipment and using the Makerspace. We can also track patron usage by sign-up sheets to determine how many patrons want to use the equipment, and use job forms to determine how many patrons actually complete jobs with the equipment. We can compare this data to determine how frequently patrons actually use the equipment and how much demand there is for the Makerspace. Lastly, we will use surveys to attain patron feedback on ease of use of the equipment, training, staff support, suggestions on areas of improvement, workshop suggestions, and any other comments. And these are works cited.
And images cited.